Our next presenter started in his home of Australia at a very young age, and his love for TV and entertainment landed him on Los Angeles at KABC Channel 7, smack dab on the red carpet, honey. He's done current affairs shows and stories, but also became the topic of one when he disclosed his HIV status in 2018, and it became a story, so he became a fierce advocate ever since, even producing his own informational segments for his platform, pluslifemedia.com. Here to present the Dorian for Best Current Affairs program, also from Australia, just like Olivia, please welcome Karl Schmid.
Thank you so much, Karel. For all the reasons you mentioned and more, I'm very pleased to be presenting our group's Dorian Award for Best Current Affairs Show. Life definitely isn't all about the red carpet, nor is it about constantly purposely scary news crawls and arguing pundits. By now it's a cliche, but who knew sharp satirists would be the ones to really know and feel what's going on in the world and even inspire us into action. Funny or sad, these shows often cover poverty, election fraud and other injustices with more depth than the average news program. The nominees for Best Current Affairs Show are Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, TBS. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, HBO. The Amber Ruffin Show, Peacock. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, CBS. Ziwe, Showtime. And the winner is Ziwe. Amazing. Congratulations to you all.
Thank you. I am so honored to be, I feel like in such great company. So thank you for taking the time and thank you for giving me this award. It's such a pleasure, honestly. So what I learned over the course of the pandemic and like the subsequent racial uprising in the last year is that we all have our set of beliefs. We all have the way we were socialized. We are all coming at race from a different vantage points. And while some people don't have the time or energy to patiently teach people, I'm really kind of curious about how we can come together and unify and really learn about other people's perspective and come to the sense that like, hey, maybe we aren't all inherently like pitchfork wielding racist, but we do have a little level of like bias that we bring to every conversation that we use to support systems that are inherently discriminatory. And our job is to unlearn that. And that is a personal journey. But my gift is that I'm an interviewer. I'm a patient person. I ask a lot of questions. And that's to the detriment of some relationships. But for this show, it's very productive. And so if I can ask questions and sort of poke holes at the ways in which we sort of display bias without realizing it, then that is something that I'm happy and willing and able to do, because I think that these conversations are productive. They're not aiming to villainize any particular person. They're aiming to show that, hey, we're none of us are perfect. And all we can do is come and be honest and be vulnerable. And then we can work together to grow. I think Oprah Winfrey is really impactful in my life, but more for her show, but more so for her as a figure, for the expectations that people ask of her, as well as what she's willing to give, as well as the sort of enterprise that she built with her magazine and with her favorite things and with her, I find her to be really quite interesting to be a Black woman in these spaces. I just find it really compelling and interesting. And I think that you see that reflected in my show, right? It sort of pays homage to like the Colberts of the world, as well as this senior Black correspondent of Oprah Winfrey, who sort of who sort of is the original influencer that we don't really discuss. So that was really impactful. But yeah, I mean, I consume so much. Like I watched Clueless as a kid. And so I was really moved by like the hyper femininity of it, as well as the idea that like Dion, the character with the braids, like she had braids. And I used to I didn't know that was the first time I ever thought like, oh, it's cool to have braids. Like I shouldn't be embarrassed that my Nigerian parents are always trying to do my hair like that. And she was like accepted, and it wasn't really like, okay, this is the black girl and this is why. She was just sort of like integrated into that group. I found that really interesting. But then most of all, okay, what else did I watch? Yeah, that was really compelling for me. But yeah, I mean, I am deeply influenced by media. I'm always consuming. I watched a lot of news as a kid. So ABC World News, I'd watch every day, the local world news. And this was from like '01 to maybe 2010 when I left home. And so that really impacted my perspective on the world and like what is objective and what's subjective. Yeah, I watched a lot of television. I watched a lot of television. I love that question. Absolutely. I was lucky enough to go to college, and I studied African American studies, and that was really one of the first times I was sort of encountering this like troubled history of the Black American experience in the United States. And so I don't think that you should have to spend $200,000 to understand like basic American history. And so my goal is to make all of these lessons that I learned at my very expensive schools sort of accessible to the public, but also palatable, right? Because no one wants to be taught and learned and preached at. So I think of it as like your medicine with sugar, right? So you're giving them something really thoughtful, but it's disguised. It's an illusion of humor and jokes, because that's how I process information, is through comedy. Honestly, I'm someone who likes to passively learn, so I watch a lot of documentaries, and so I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for people to just like watch my show and think, and watch my show and laugh, because those two things work in tandem. I went to college and it was Obama became president, and it was like, yes, we did it. We are succeeding. Everything is, utopia. And then, you start to realize, wait, okay, this illusion that we created was exactly that, an illusion. And so really peeling back like the rose colored glasses was very difficult, but essential to my growth. So I want to give that to other people. I hope that I have more opportunities to give more people who have been overlooked in this industry opportunities to shine and write and perform and produce, because they have these qualifications, but because of gatekeeping or what have you, they may not have the opportunities. So I hope that I can I hope that I can help other people grow in the way that others have helped me grow.